October 28, 1927. 500 years after Leonardo da Vinci put the flying machine on the drawing board, 24 years after Orville Wright got it off the ground, 5 months after the Spirit of St. Louis flew to Paris, a Fokker F-7 heads out over the waters south of Florida. America's first scheduled international airline is on its way. In the years ahead, this airline will open up the world for anyone and everyone who ever wanted to go places. This is the story of how it all happened. The story begins here at Key West, Florida. A tiny new airline called Pan American Airways, with 2 tri-motor airplanes, a contract to fly mail on a 90-mile route to Havana, and a boundless faith in the future of air travel, takes off. In 1928, Pan Am carries 1,100 passengers between Florida and Cuba. It extends its route southward to Haiti and San Juan, to Mexico City and Panama, to Colombia on the South American continent. As it would do so many times in the future, Pan Am orders new aircraft built to its own specifications. The Sikorsky S-38, an amphibian that could take people where there were no airports. The first commercial 4-engine aircraft, Pan Am's Sikorsky S-40 flying boat. Pan Am's network expands until it covers the Caribbean and all of Central and South America. Air bases are built, carved out of jungles, hacked out of volcanic rock. Radio and weather stations are constructed. In its first 5 years, Pan Am opens 18,000 miles of airways linking 27 countries. Pan Am now knows far more than any other airline about long-range, over-water flying. Latin America has provided a laboratory where Pan Am could develop the techniques and equipment and train the personnel which will enable it to take on far greater challenges. And a very great challenge is about to present itself: the Pacific. In the early 1930s, the only way to cross it is by ship, a journey that takes weeks. No airline has dared to even think about flying across it. Until Pan Am. In November 1935, the Martin 130 China Clipper, a plane Pan Am helped design, takes off from San Francisco. Its destination, Manila, 8,200 miles away. Refueling at mid-ocean bases built and supplied by Pan Am, the China Clipper makes the trip in just under 60 hours flying time. It is the first scheduled trans-Pacific flight. 4 years later, another new Pan Am plane, a Boeing B-314, is christened the Yankee Clipper. Another ocean, the Atlantic, and another Pan Am first. The Yankee Clipper leaves New York and flies to Lisbon, Portugal. The flight takes 26 hours. Shortly afterwards, Pan Am starts regular service between New York, England, and France. People marvel at the size and range and comfort of the new Clippers, with their dining rooms and elegant meal service and sleeping berths. Flying has never been this luxurious. Yet to Pan Am, they are just one more stage in a never-ending process of development. Says a Pan Am spokesman, these giant airplanes are actually the last of the little airplanes. There is a need for great ocean airliners, 2 to 3 times the size of these Clippers. He is right, but it is a vision that will have to wait. The Pan Am story is about to take an unexpected turn. War. first in Europe, then embroiling the United States as Pearl Harbor is attacked. Pan Am sends an urgent message to all its aircraft and bases. December 7th, 1941. Executive Memorandum 71, all divisions. Maintain all facilities subject emergency order U.S. military authority, your area. Plan A effective this order. With the country now engaged in a global conflict, Pan Am alone has the equipment, the crews, and the experience needed to transport men and materials to any place on the earth. Pan Am is a vital resource, crucial to the war effort, and it performs its job well. During the war years, Pan Am trains thousands of pilots and navigators, builds 50 air bases in 15 countries, almost all of them in remote, often hostile areas, ferries hundreds of bombers and transports, and carries ammunition, supplies, and personnel to points all over the world, making over 18,000 ocean crossings and flying 90 million miles. Pan Am proves to be one of America's most important secret weapons. When the war is over, Pan Am resumes normal operations. People are ready to travel, and Pan Am is ready to take them. Its routes now cover the globe, to Europe and Africa, Asia and Australia, all around South America, and new aircraft are flying them, like the Lockheed Constellation. In 1947, a Pan Am Constellation, the Clipper America, makes the first scheduled passenger flight around the world. 13 days, 17 stops, 22,000 miles. Flying time, 102 hours and 50 minutes. The DC-4, developed during the war, joins Pan Am's fleet. Then the DC-6 and DC-7, each one bigger and more comfortable, cruising at speeds over 350 miles an hour. The double-deck Stratocruiser goes into service for Pan Am and quickly becomes a favorite of comfort-loving travelers. Flying times are reduced. London is now only 12 hours from New York. And Pan Am's new low rainbow fares are making travel possible for the first time for the average citizen. The number of people traveling abroad increases sharply. The trend is clear. And just as clear is the fact that it wouldn't have happened, at least not nearly as soon, if it had not been for Pan Am's leadership. But the world hasn't seen anything yet. A new sound, a new way to travel, and only Pan Am has it. On October 26, 1958, Pan Am becomes the first American airline to fly jet aircraft. A Pan Am Boeing 707 streaks from New York to Paris in 8 hours. The world enters the jet age. In one bold stroke, Pan Am has slashed flying times almost in half. And almost simultaneously, Pan Am slashes fares by introducing its new economy class service. To meet a greatly increased demand, Pan Am expands its schedules. In the summer of 1965, it makes 258 flights weekly across the Atlantic. 1970. Having led the world into the jet age, Pan Am tops itself. Working closely with Boeing, Pan Am develops a huge new aircraft, far exceeding in size and capabilities anything that anyone had ever dreamed of. The Boeing 747, with room for 2.5 times as many passengers as the 707, and able to fly faster, higher, and farther. It will also prove to be safer, more comfortable, and easier to fly than any long-range aircraft ever built. (1976). Pan Am continues to set the pace by bringing out the new 747 SP for special performance. 47 feet shorter than the standard 747, it has the longest range of any commercial aircraft. It is the first aircraft to offer non-stop service between New York and Tokyo, from San Francisco to New Zealand, and from Australia to San Francisco. On May 1st, 1976, it shows the world what it can do. A Pan Am 747 SP takes off from New York on a record-breaking round-the-world flight. Making only 2 stops, at Delhi, India, and Tokyo, it is back in New York 46 hours later, having broken the old record by over 15 hours. But speed, just for the sake of speed, has never been Pan Am's goal. The goal has always been to take people where they want to go, comfortably and safely, at fares people can afford to pay, with schedules that make it possible for the average person with a 2-week vacation to go anywhere in the world. Through the years, as Pan Am led the way to the Caribbean and into Central and South America, across the Pacific to Asia and Australia, over the Atlantic to Europe and Africa, around the world, and finally into the jet age, it was doing more than opening up hundreds of new routes. It was opening millions of minds to the idea of going places far from home. This year, Pan Am will carry over 8 million passengers to 92 cities on 6 continents, making what was once restricted to the wealthy few available to everyone. That is what the Pan Am story is really all about, and the best chapters are yet to come.